Hey there, fellow explorers of the unknown. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most mind-blowing concepts in modern physics, the multidimensional universe. You know how we live in a world where things seem pretty straightforward, right? But what if I told you that there's so much more to reality than what we can see and touch? That's what we're going to explore in this video essay. The multidimensional universe. So let's start with the basics. We know that our universe is made up of 3 dimensions: length, width, and depth. But what if I told you that there are at least 11 dimensions out there? Yeah, it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Otherwise, the universe would collapse. This is based on string theory and M theory proposed by physicists like Edward Witten, Leonard Susskind, and others. Each dimension is a 90-degree angle right above the next one, compactified so they're sitting right on top of us. Within less than a Planck unit of space above you, there's another dimension that actually exists, with a whole other universe happening simultaneously while we're sitting right here. This concept of multiple higher dimensions coexisting with our observable universe is mind-boggling. As mentioned in the Quran, we created 7 heavens, one above another in layers. You will never see any imperfection in the creation of the most compassionate. So look again. Do you see any flaws? Quran 67:3. Time and space. Now, let's talk about time and space. We're used to thinking of them as fixed, linear concepts. But what if I told you that time is actually relative? That's right, folks. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time can slow down or speed up depending on how fast you're moving and where you are in the universe. And that's not all. Space is also relative. The way we perceive distance and direction is all relative to our frame of reference. From higher dimensions, they experience time differently. If time really doesn't exist, the past, present, and the future happen all at once. So somebody from, for example, the 5th dimension would look at us and be able to see us in all different time frames simultaneously. This is similar to the concept of law al-mahfuz in Islamic philosophy, where all events are recorded and exist eternally in God's knowledge. The different rooms represent different time frames of existence within this structure, so they could see the past, present, and future at the same time. As Imam Ali, ASS, said, the past and the future are both present for Allah. The power of frequency. So, how do we tap into these higher dimensions? Well, it all comes down to frequency. You see, everything in the universe is made up of energy, and energy has a frequency. By matching our frequency to that of the higher dimensions, we can access them. It's like tuning into a different radio station, and the implications are huge. We could potentially communicate with beings from other dimensions, or even travel through time and space. The idea is that when you're in a higher dimension, you can only see below lower dimensions, but you can't see dimensions above you unless you have the capability of matching first. You have to obtain the frequency of a higher dimension and then match that frequency to be able to walk in. So that's the frequency. For example, my hand is stopped now by this table, not because I'm really touching the table, but due to repulsion going on. Electromagnetic repulsion between the electrons in my hands repelling the electrons in the table. You don't really touch anything. Now, if I can match the subatomic frequency of the atoms in this chunk of wood in the table with my hand, I would be able to pass my hand right through the table unscathed, because atoms are 99.9999% empty space. Nothing is really here. Everything is only a light wave slowed down to a particular frequency. So if you can match frequencies, you can merge with things, you can walk through walls, and all that kind of stuff. The things that seem paranormal could be advanced beings who have tapped into some type of understanding of how to match different frequencies in our dimension and appear distributing or paranormal. But in true reality, they could just be taking a peek in. The multidimensional crystals. How do we come to the understanding that these higher dimensions exist? What is the most basic evidence that we have of this? Quantum physics proves it. When we look into the quantum world, everything changes from standard physics, where we are right now, and the large side of physics. But the smaller you go, the weirder things get. We find that particles transfer in and out of existence, and they go to different dimensions. We even know now that some of our synapses, or thoughts in our brain, phase out of this dimension and go somewhere else and then come back again. And this has all been tracked and traced through the understanding of quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and the understanding that dimensions exist. The biggest way that we made a model of this is we figured out how to create something called Quasi Crystals. Now, these Quasi Crystals are these multidimensional crystals. We actually created an 8th dimensional Quasi Crystal. This is similar to the concept of Alam al-Mithal, or the world of exemplars in Islamic philosophy, which is a realm beyond the physical and spiritual worlds. Alam al-Mithal roughly translates from Arabic as the world of similitudes, also called Alam al-Khayal, the world of the imagination. The Adinkra Codes. Researchers created the 8th dimensional quasi-crystal in a laboratory using different technologies, and then from that 8th dimensional quasi-crystal, it casts a shadow of itself down to a 4th dimensional quasi-crystal, which then casts down a shadow, which creates a sphere. So, we know that the universe is most likely the shadow of a higher dimension. It's crazy stuff. That's kind of mind-bending. We're living in a light matrix, which is actually a light matrix, which is a shadow of a much higher dimension. What exactly is a Adinkra code? They're error-correcting codes, the same exact codes that run our search engines and web browsers that you're using right now to look at this video. There's coding behind the screen that runs this, and guess what? It's the same code that runs the universe. Error-correcting codes. If you look up quasi-crystals, they look like Adinkra symbols, mathematical symbols, but in the 3rd dimensional time-space. They look like these lines that are connected with these nodes. Conclusion. What do we gain from all of this knowledge? What does this tell us, and where do we take this? If you understand it, we're living in a fractal holographic light matrix. It doesn't mean we're not real, it just means that there is a creator, that we're living in something that was created, just like the ancient texts and all the scribes and biblical texts. It tells us, wow, this is the method of the creation. Now we're getting closer to understanding what we really are. We understand now that consciousness isn't made inside this avatar body, that the avatar body doesn't even exist, that consciousness is a stream of something, coming from somewhere else, and it's being picked up in this matrix with this coding. If you took all the humans on Earth, there are 8 billion humans on Earth. If I took all 8 billion humans and removed the empty space between their atoms, I could fit every human into a sugar cube. One sugar cube can hold all 8 billion of us. So what does that mean? There's only one consciousness, it seems, and it looks like it's a radio station that's transmitting out of frequency from a higher dimension. Our avatar bodies pick up that frequency. You're 99.1, I'm 99.2, he's 99.3, but it's still coming from the same source. And we're all coming from the same source. It's like the universe has found a way to live subjectively through multiple entities, but not only through entities, even through objects that we consider to be man-made, because everything is made of atom. We know now in quantum physics that atom is also conscious. This resonates with the Islamic concept of Wahdat al-Wujud, or the unity of existence, where all beings are manifestations of the one divine reality, as mentioned in the Quran. Wherever you turn, there is the face of Allah. Quran 2:115. Does this give any credence to the simulation theory? Absolutely, yes. We're living in a simulation. This is an actual simulation. This aligns with the idea of the universe being a manifestation of the divine will, as stated in the Quran. He is the first and the last, the outward and the inward, and he has knowledge of everything. Quran 57:3. So there you have it, the multidimensional universe and the secrets it holds. It's a mind-blowing concept that challenges everything we thought we knew about reality. But the more we learn, the more we realize how much we still have to discover. So keep exploring, keep learning, and who knows what secrets we'll uncover next. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown.